real estate and lifestyle meet. It's not about where you came from, it's about where you are going. Everybody has a journey or a story about life. We can help each other push through these obstacles by sharing the process, stories, and walks of life. Some of us have role models, some of us don't. This is my journey with no role models. What's up, everyone? This is Robert Colangeli, Instagram at Colangeli Homes, with our fourth episode, November 9th, 2023. We have two big-time real estate, I would say investors, entrepreneurs. They have a lot to share with you, definitely. Alex and
What's
also
up, brother?
Sergio. Do a little introduction of yourself to tell everybody.
Yeah, so my name is Alexander Guzman. I've been an entrepreneur for the past 10 years. We're currently investing in real estate, fix and flips, single family developments, and soon to work on commercial.
Nice.
Yeah, what's up, everyone? My name is Sergio Lopez. I'm Alex's partner. We've been in the journey for about, as far as for entrepreneurship, 10 years. Real estate, we've been doing it for 5 years now. And, we fix and flip, wholesale, pretty much anything you could think of when it comes to real estate related.
Yeah, definitely. I think you guys have a lot of knowledge and wisdom to share with us because you guys are still young. I wish I would have been as serious as you guys were as early in your real estate and career. Definitely, because, the younger you get into it, the habits that you build that are good will take you a long way, like you guys.
For sure.
Yeah.
So, first question, how would you describe your childhood in 3 words or sentences?
So starting off with me, I would say my childhood was, it was a little bit rough. Kind of like this, the name of the podcast. We didn't have any role models growing up, so we had to face a lot of obstacles coming from South LA. But we little by little we overcame it.
Yeah, so 3 words just to kind of keep it simple. I would say, it was fun. It was a little bit of, it was dangerous, and it was a lot of hard work as well.
Yeah.
A lot of hard work, just to kind of keep it simple. But yeah, it's a lot of crazy stuff that we kind of went through, trials and tribulations, doing things that we're not supposed to. And, just everything you could think of, coming from South Central, we kind of did it, so, just so for people, they understand what I'm talking about, they know.
Yeah, so you guys grew up together too?
Yeah, well, in South Central, yeah, we went to the same
Middle
school and then in high school as well.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, to the same middle school.
It's tough as you get older to be friends. I don't know, not to be friends, but to
maintain those friends from
Yeah.
high school and stuff like that, yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone does their own thing at the end,
Yeah.
But for us, we actually reconnected, after high school. We did our things. I went to college, tried it out, didn't work out. And, one thing led to another, and we ended up meeting up again at the gym, long story short. Yeah, yeah.
The gym connections,
Yeah,
huh? They
yeah.
always come in handy.
Yeah, for
the
sure.
sauna.
And the
The
sauna.
sauna, nice.
Yeah. We actually, we knew each other in middle school and high school, but we weren't like connected like the best of friends.
Yeah.
He had his own group of friends, and I had my own group of friends. So we ended up connecting after high school, maybe like 2 years later. Yeah. But yeah, going back to like the beginning, growing up, I grew up with a single parent and a stepdad. So growing up, we didn't have good influences. I got a lot into trouble, with the law too. As a juvenile, I had like a record of I had been arrested like 5 times. So that's where kind of like the entrepreneurship came from. All those I experienced a lot of bad things in the beginning, drugs, bad acquaintances, all that stuff, and my real estate career, like I always knew I wanted to get into real estate. I don't know how it got into my head, but I always used to pass by buildings and tell my grandma like, hey, one day I'm gonna build this and you're gonna own it and stuff like that. So at after high school, I kind of started getting my stuff together, and I got a course. I invested all my money. I got into debt. I remember the course was about 30,000, right? And throughout that time, throughout those 4 or 5 months, I ended up getting my first deal on the market. It was a short sale deal. I remember vividly. I was excited. I had a couple money in my bank account. I ended up putting 15,000 down, and it ended up being a scam because it was a big realty company, but they owned an escrow as well.
Oh.
So that's how I ended up getting scammed because I put the money in
It was
their
like
escrow.
a fake short sale, right?
Yeah, it was legit. I mean, it looked legit, right?
Yeah.
It had like a big office in Irvine and all that stuff. I went to go check it out, and I was working with a realtor/broker, and we went out there. I gave him the 15,000, and 1 month came to two to four, and then in month 9, I was like, you know what, this is taking too long. I need to cancel this contract. Give me my money back, and that's when kind of everything started unraveling. And I found out that they had scammed about 30 to 50 people.
I
Yeah.
I think we had other friends or coworkers that were involved too, which is crazy. And I think that same guy was he a mortgage broker too?
Yeah. I think his name was Mario or I don't know. But that was in 2014 that happened. So it's
Around the same time.
Yeah, like 9 years ago.
That's sucks for the first deal for sure, because it doesn't give you a good taste in your mouth of the business, especially something like that happening. But the part of you explaining how you started in high school and you were getting into trouble, and then now to see where you're at today is a big inspiration to everybody. And just like you said, just like the podcast name, you didn't have no role models, and then that's why we put this together, because everybody out there has a story about how they grew up. No matter who you are, no matter where you came from, there's a story in there somewhere.
For sure.
And I'm glad that you guys, you're sharing about what's happened and where you were at and where you're going and where you're at today. It's hard for a lot of people to have that picture. And it seems like when you're a little kid, you were showing your grandma, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to do. You having that like in your heart and setting your mind to it, and no matter what, working through the obstacles, especially being burned the first transaction, is a big inspiration to myself too, and a lot of people out there.
Yeah, and to touch a little bit more on that, like that set me, back a lot. It even made me change, career courses. So from starting off, from the beginning as an investor, it made me do other businesses because I had lost all my money and I was like, damn, what am I gonna do? I need to figure something else out. And but it came full circle. So a little bit more on that, I bought my first property at 21. That one that ended up being a scam. I didn't buy that one, but I ended up buying another one in 2021, and it was, at 21 years old, it was a land development deal that we still have to this day, and we're working on it.
What city?
Desert Hot Springs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you probably got it like dirt cheap, right?
Yeah, that was in 2016. We still own it. They probably maybe tripled or something like
at
that.
least.
Yeah.
And you guys are building a property there right now?
It's gonna be commercial,
okay.
But going back again to the beginnings, like we had to get our feet wet. So like I figured I going back to it now. I was thinking super big, and obviously you gotta take step by step. Now knowing what I know, like I sure enough, started that quick. That's why we still have that deal, because it's like a 20,000 square foot development deal that it's gonna happen. It's just takes time. It takes capital, and there's a lot of other things that go into it too. Like when you develop, you gotta know like about road dedications, where your water's gonna go through, your electrical if it doesn't have electrical, all those little things, and then some like we didn't know at the time, so it was kind of like naive and stuff.
Yeah, like
Going
having
into
to build the roadway.
Yeah, the roads.
Yeah, so stuff like that you don't know, and obviously if you have different other companies that are there or other like structures that are there, you can all piece up together, come together, and like split the difference for the cost, because you have to there's just dirt, so you have to bring in gravel, make a new road, all that stuff. So you have to pay for all that. So and it's long too. So it's not like it's maybe about like a half a mile of road that you have to create.
Yeah.
So so like stuff like that we didn't know. Going into something like that.
But just like growing up, you started with it, you learn different things,
Yeah.
you adapt to it,
Yeah.
and then you somehow just that's why I believe too with real estate you got to just jump into it.
Yeah.
And do it.
It's just like anything, to be honest. Like when people tell me like, how do I do it? It's like, well, do you have a 9 to 5? And they're like, yeah, it's almost the same thing. But the only thing about a 9 to 5 is that, you get a paycheck every week or every month. In real estate or when you're an entrepreneur, it's like you have to kind of make your own money at the end of the day. But like I said, the only thing that I see the similarities, because I used to work a 9 to 5, for a while. And then doing this now, the similarities is like, when you're working a 9 to 5, you have like a supervisor or the manager that's kind of teaching you how to do things. And then maybe a year later, you're kind of you're doing your own thing at the end, Same thing with real estate. Obviously, you don't have nobody that's going to teach you and stuff like that, unless you have like, a mentor or something like that. Then that kind of changes everything. And at that point, your first year, you might know a little bit. The second year, you're a little bit better. The third year, kind of proficient. Fourth, around the fifth year, you should already have some stuff, momentum kind of going on. And if you're not, then you're maybe doing something wrong at the end of the day. If by year number 5, in real estate, it takes about 2 to 3 years to kind of establish yourself, and after that, you kind of scale from there on out if you know how to do it.
That's exactly true. But I would say a lot of realtors don't get to that point. They half-ass it for years, 4 years, 5 years, part-time. When you have a client here and there, and then they're not seeing like a flow of clients, and it's like, oh, maybe it's not for me. But if you never really like gave it your all, even for a period of time, maybe 6 months, whatever, at least try it like all in 100% to see what you can get.
Yeah, if you're doing it for a whole year, and even if you're half-assing it, you're gonna land something.
You're gonna run into a deal.
Yeah, the goal is just not to quit at the end of the day, because once you quit, that's it. That's where it ends.
And I think that's where the hard work you build up, and you keep working hard, and you're working on yourself. You might not see a deal every day.
Yeah.
But as long as you're running your numbers, looking for properties, you're gonna run into a deal or deals that hit you in the face, and that's where the satisfaction comes through, and you get, I guess you could say, you get off on the excitement of getting the deal, because you know what's gonna come from that deal.
Yeah, for sure. You're waiting for the the check
like,
to hit the account.
That's what like entrepreneurship is. I would say, kind of in a sense, it's like you're like a full-time gambler.
Yeah.
It's
guaranteed.
Yeah, for sure.
Because you can go 3 months without a check.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I have, but there's a chance that could happen, and it's just always a chance. But if you're constantly working, and building other connections with people, like I like the things you guys do too, with like meetups and going to meetups and sharing, because people are going to recognize you outside of there and want to work with you if you're sharing like genuinely what you know.
For sure. Yeah, and don't expect it to happen right away. Like for our first deal, it took about a year to get our first paycheck.
Our first real estate paycheck, it took a year.
It took a year. We did a fire damaged property.
ADU.
We did an ADU when no one was doing it, 2018. But at the end of the day, it's just we were focused. The goal was just to keep doing more after that one. We learned anything we got hit with everything you could think of: inspections, fire damage, ADU, doing stuff that we were not supposed to do, building things unpermittedly, and getting caught by the inspector, and after that deal, honestly taught us so much. Like from that point on, like we were comfortable going into the second one because what's the worst that can happen that we haven't gone through already?
It already happened.
It already happened for sure. So
Yeah.
Just to touch a little bit more on that, when we had it in escrow, someone came and they burnt it down even more. So
No
you know,
way.
yeah, we were gonna. It was burnt. We were gonna change some studs around. You know, do the whole roof, and someone came in and finished it completely off.
Hopefully that gave you guys a little insurance check.
well, at that
It
point
was
it
an
was
escrow. We
yeah.
just negotiated
Oh,
a little bit more down.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
either lose the deal or negotiate on
Yeah.
the price, and then they were open to negotiate. So we got it a little more cheaper than what we got it for.
That's good.
So
We ended up we purchased it at $320 and we ended up selling it for $700, $705 a year later.
yeah, so
Oh, nice. How much did you guys put into it, do you think?
Bunch of money. Now I don't really remember, but we didn't end up making that much. Maybe like maybe 80,000.
Oh, okay.
You know.
That's not bad, though.
Yeah,
At
it
least
wasn't
you-
bad.
at
It was
least
a
you
learning
gained-
experience,
yeah.
you know. But at that time too, we were like, it was fun, you know. It was
Yeah.
fun. It was we were there almost every other day, like, pushing the guys, and we were dealing with contractors that weren't as solid as we thought they were. But coming from the streets experience, I knew right away, like after, like there's telltale signs. They probably thought that they were BSing us, bullshitting us, but I was kind of using the same tactic on him, like trying to push him, like, hey, we got other deals,
Yeah.
finish this one or pay the guys, because I paid you, and I'm almost close to getting this one, and here's this and that, and just play around with them as well. So
Reverse psychology.
yeah,
well, we knew he was kind of like
that
they're
guy
fucking around. So
that guy
Oh.
ended up messing up a lot of people. Probably to this day, he's still around somewhere. But
Oh.
even like older guys, like he'll take advantage of older people with more experience. But I feel like with us, we just we dodged a bullet.
Yeah. In a sense, it's good it happened to you early rather than later, because it could have been a bigger deal where you're really making a lot of money,
yeah,
and then it would have been a real big impact on you guys. But
Right.
it kind of the same with that part that you said of, I think it was when you said growing up. What was the last thing you said?
I don't
Growing
recall.
Oh,
up.
no. My bad. So the issues you guys had in the first project,
Okay.
that I think is good, especially in real estate, because you experience it and then you know how to work the next deal.
Yeah, because a lot of the times you get hit with different things every project.
Yeah.
And then we got literally hit with anything you come up with right now. I'll probably tell you it happened to us.
Yeah.
So
We're
like
still learning a lot to this day, with inspectors. Like, there's every day we're learning,
Yeah.
making mistakes and learning. It's just not trying to commit the same mistake because they're costly, very costly,
Were there pivotal moments in your upbringing that shaped who you are today?
Yeah, definitely. For me, it's, getting in trouble, getting arrested a bunch of times. All those little things just helped me out. It's molded me to what I am now. So to touch a little bit more on that, I after a certain point, I was like, I'm done. My parents, my mom, she recommended me to go into it's like a cadet program for LAPD.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So I got into that, and I excelled on it because it's not about like talking, or it's just doing whatever they tell you to do. So I was actually pretty good at that, the physical education, and then I got really into it. So that's when kind of everything started like shifting for me. In high school, I knew I just wanted to get out of high school. I didn't even end up getting my diploma because I finished all my credits by 11th grade, and there was a police academy that was doing a program where they'll get the top cadets from the 21 stations, and it was like a full-time scholarship for like 2 years, and I ended up applying. I just I didn't mention that I was that I had a pass, because if not, they wouldn't have accepted me. They just cared about getting your credits and more about like the physical education, like how fast you can run a mile, how many push-ups, sit-ups, and recommendations and things like that. So I ended up getting accepted. It was called the program. It was about 60 of us, and at the end of the 2 years, it was probably like 25 that graduated because you had to be disciplined. You had to be there at 6 a.m. and all those little things that shape what I am right now because of the discipline. And yeah.
I have like a couple of them, but the one that stands out for me was in middle school. I remember one of my science teacher, because around that age, I was still a kid, just acting a fool, doing what kids do around, in middle school, try to fight the teachers and, argue with them, and talk smack to them and stuff like that. But I remember one time that he was a biology teacher and he was in the Army. And one time he put me to the side and he tells like, "Hey Sergio, I mean, you're a pretty bright student. You kind of know what you're talking about. Sometimes when we have our personal conversations, I'll have with them, but you just act dumb. You act a fool." He tells me, and then from that point on, I was like, "Damn! Like I've never really had someone tell me like, yeah, I'm pretty smart. Like I kind of know what I'm doing, and things like that." And I remember from that point on, I think it was in 8th grade. I'm not going into 9th grade. I decided to, well, you know what? I'm gonna try and be a good student, try to see if I could land A's like all the other smart kids do, I didn't do all A's, but I got B's and C's from getting D's and F's and stuff like that. So that's one of the things that shifted a little bit of my perspective, like kind of what I'm capable of doing. I would say that was one of the big ones that I still remember to this day. But there's other ones that kind of, pivot, like,
So
kind of where we're at.
Did you guys stay in contact, you and the teacher?
No, I did. I wish I did, to be honest. Every time I drive by the middle school, I was like, I wonder how Mr. Arroyo's doing. That's his name, So I don't know what happened to him then, but yeah, because of him, kind of changing a little bit my perspective, kind of what I'm capable of doing in a sense,
Sometimes it does take like an outside person
for sure
to influence you and bring to light like, hey, you're capable of doing something.
Yeah, because my parents, they don't know English, Spanish. Like, what are they gonna tell me that that I don't know, Around that age, that's like mentality that you have, like what are they gonna tell me?
Yeah, I had like my parents tell me you can do anything, but they're like my parents.
yeah.
So I felt I was kind of spoiled when I was younger.
Okay.
And then I think when I got older, I just kind of like that. I just went through it later.
Yeah.
In school, I kind of got in trouble, but nothing crazy.
Yeah.
But teachers would tell me that, like, Robert, like, you know how to do everything, but you just like mess around and make jokes and talk shit after you finish your work. And I'm like, well, I'm bored. And they're just like, you know what, I'm giving you an A, but for effort, you're getting an F. And I'm like, or an N or a U, like needs improvement. And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. And she's like, you'll know what I'm talking about later. And then I think that's where my future teacher came in, Janet, to like, cause I was a big mess before, and getting into real estate, making little money, you think like you're God. You make $100K, I'm the biggest in my family, and that you go from not making nothing to making good money, and you really feel like you're God or you can't be touched. And then things I think happen within that time to show you, like, to humble you, like, you shouldn't be doing that. You shouldn't be doing this. And then you experience it. And then that's when you think like, yeah, it was right, Like that's why I stopped drinking, because I was just being an idiot, going out all the time, and it wasn't like my mom was always worried. I was driving around. It was just not good. Yeah. And then I had to make a change for my future. Yeah. So I think we all do come to that point where it's either you're going to be a boy or become a man. Yeah. And you're shown things like, okay, you keep going this way, this is where we're going to take you. But if you make a change, you could go this way with like a vision. Yeah. Which you guys definitely have. From the vision of, you walking with your grandma down the street and saying, I'm going to own buildings. At that age, I was not thinking nothing of that. I was thinking of, when am I going to hang out with these friends and party somewhere? Like, maybe that was too young, but you had a very good mindset at a young age, and I'm sure you did too, because you guys grew up went through a lot of things.
My mindset honestly didn't really change until maybe like getting into maybe like 10th grade in high school. That's kind of when I started
Likewise.
shifting a little bit more.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, but I don't know what a lot of people think of themselves, but at least for me, like in middle school, I could still remember now that like I would always tell myself like I'm gonna become somebody, you know, I'm gonna be somebody one day. But my mission in life is to figure out what that's gonna be to kind of get me to that point. So a lot of that, I mean, I would still have that feeling, you know, inside of me, like I know I'm gonna be someone, I know I'm gonna be successful, but what's gonna take me there? And I didn't really know. And I would hear real estate here and there. I actually, in 11th grade, you know, they were having like projects, you know, what do you want to do when you're like 10 years from now? And like I had a real estate agent in there, in that pocket, you know, like, because there was 3 things that you choose. You know, I don't remember the other 2, but real estate or being an agent was there. But ever since then, like, it just, you know, it's not going to happen, you know, type of stuff, you know, and I didn't really think about it until I got the opportunity to dive in, you know, into real estate, you know, because before I was going to be, I was going to join the CHP officer, you know, I was literally, right when we teamed up, I was literally about to go take the physical and then the written exam, you know, so that's why I was going to the gym, and that's kind of we encountered. And then I just kind of decided to, well, you know what, I'm not going to even take the test, you know, I'm just going to go right into real estate. And that's something that I thought in the past that might take me to where I need to get to, that feeling that I had to kind of get to or like be successful. Because when I was gonna join the CHP, the reason I chose them is because, you know, who gets paid the most, and then which ones are likely less to get shot, you know. So I was
that's smart.
So I was like,
he's already getting the numbers again.
Yeah. So I was like, these guys, you know, they start off, I believe, like from 60 to 70. You know, that's a lot more than the LAPD and sheriffs. So, you know, I was like, okay, this sounds pretty cool. I mean, the physical part, I mean, I got it done. You know, I work out every day, type of stuff. So I don't have a problem. And with the testing, I was like, well, if I'm able to pass tests in high school, what's the difference, you know? So I was like, that shouldn't be that hard. But then, you know, I got an opportunity to, you know, get into real estate, and I was like, well, I'm just going to dive into real estate and let that go. Even though I was training for like a couple months and studying and stuff like that, I just left it cold turkey.
What do you think helped you make that decision of being a CHP or entrepreneur?
I honestly thought about it for like a couple days, thinking about, I was like, well, do I really want to, you know, let all this go that I was training and then studying some of the stuff that they provide for you to kind of study to prepare you for the actual written exam, or, you know, get into real estate. Most of it has to tie back into like that feeling that I had, you know, growing up. Like, I know I'm going to be someone, I'm going to be successful, but my mission in life was to figure out what that was. So even in going, because I went to college for about 2 years, you know, I didn't graduate, but even in college, I was taking a lot of different courses because I was trying to figure it out. I was trying to what I want to land on and kind of be good at. And, you know, and then I got the opportunity to go into real estate, and I was like, well, you know, I thought about, you know, okay, what's going to make me the most money at the time, you know, which was going to get me to where I want to be at. And then real estate seemed a little bit better than CHP, you know, like, rather than, you know, potentially, you know, something happening, you know, than being somewhere where I can, you know, actually grow it and, you know, be part of something. And it wasn't that hard of a decision, but it did take me some time because to dive in, because I did all that work, and just to kind of let that go, you know, cold turkey and stuff like that. That was the only thing I was hesitant about, but about diving in, like, I didn't think about it twice. I just kind of did it. I've always been like that. I have a really high risk tolerance. Well, we both do. We kind of learned that being in real estate. So we have a really high risk tolerance. So that kind of came into play too. So I was like, I really need to risk it all right now. I mean, I don't got nothing to lose. So let's just dive in and see where it goes. And thankfully, you know, it's been going good.
When you met Alex, like, did you guys have like the same mindset, like on like what you guys wanted to do, or did you guys have like a clash anywhere?
No, not really. I mean, we've honestly, to be honest, we've never really argued about anything, to be honest, you know.
Alex doesn't look like the arguing type.
Yeah, and then like with me, like if someone's gonna argue with me, I'll dabble in the argument, you know. But most of the time, I mean, yeah, I'm very chill. Like, if it doesn't, I don't like to argue and stuff like that. I do that at home a lot with my wife, so, you know, don't want to do that anywhere else. So, you know, but other than that, yeah, I mean, we've known each other for a bit, but what was your question again? Sorry, I kind of spaced out there.
To add to that, you know, being the whole doing the CHP, because I remember he was close to taking that test and all that stuff. So that's kind of where we connected too, because, you know, I was gonna be a police officer. You know, that's what I was trying to do, because my record was juvenile, and I well, we connected at the gym, and I told him like, hey, you know what, I was gonna be a police officer, but I let that go because after I finished that program, that 2-year college program, I knew like in my mind again, I said this is not for me, this is not for me. A 9 to 5 is not for me. I don't like this, so I'm not gonna apply. And I kind of relayed that message to Sergio and like, look, this is what I'm doing. Do you want to join? You want to join me and go through this journey? And like he said, he was all he was all in.
Yeah. Then the other thing that I would like to kind of talk on, what kind of like what he's saying is like, he was talking to me about the kind of what he was doing. He lost the money. He was doing real estate, and he kind of already had like about like a year and a half, going to 2 years already kind of doing it. And the stuff that he was telling me in my head was like, well, it seems like he might need some help, Yeah. So, but I was just trying to figure out how can I relay that message to him, like, I'm down to help you out, but without coming at him or like, like mooching up what he's doing, if that makes sense, just kind of like, oh, you did this, now I'm expecting you to teach me, pay me this and that, I'm going to help you, stuff like that. Now,
You want to add value to
exactly.
it.
Yeah, so that's what I was going to tie into, just adding value, knowing how to add value to someone, and then, you guys can become partnership, but some partnerships don't work out as well either, because everything has to align, honestly. Like, we kind of align in pretty much everything. Obviously, there's some things we might not align, but most of the important things where it kind of makes the partnership work, we pretty much are right there. It's almost like a relationship in a sense. Like,
yeah, it is.
It really is. There's like, you need to understand that person, their mannerisms, what might tick them off, in case you need to talk about something, a deal, you don't want to approach it a certain way. Things like that, help out a lot. And, that's probably why we don't argue much stuff. We do talk a lot, though, for sure. Like, that we talk a lot, we do talk a lot. We talk about what needs to get done, some of our goals and stuff like that. Some things that in the past that we would talk about, what we're doing now, we're doing it. So, but yeah, there's communication has to be there, because we're both, when we first started, we were both the quiet type. How you mentioned, like, he seems like a quiet person.
We're still like that.
Eventually, like, I had to kind of make a little switch where like I need to talk a little bit more, because two quiet people eventually it won't work out in some scenarios, So one of them has to be the extrovert, just to kind of do that little push.
Because if you guys both hold it in and not express your feelings, and they're just gonna blow up.
Exactly.
You gotta have like different powers for each other.
Yeah. So that too, what you're saying, like not keeping it in, even with like feelings or stuff that's going on, just talking about it, like kind of can make a big difference, because let's just say we're dealing with like an issue at one of our projects. He doesn't want to bring it up. I don't want to bring it up because it might be too much work, or it might not go in according to plan and stuff like that. But we need to talk about it right now, because if you leave it towards later on, it just kind of can screw things over.
Yeah, it'll just snowball.
Exactly.
Who knows what can happen?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's definitely also having a different roles in the business, because we can't be both doing the same thing. So sometimes we have different roles. I take care more of the investing side, as far as like the fix and flips and the single family developments. But I always relay the message or what's going on. Like, hey, this is what's going on. I'm not the type of person that I like to take care of the business, as far as like I try not to put since we have different roles, I try not to put a burden on him on the fixing and flipping and stuff, but I do relay the message like, hey, this is what's going on, this is what happened today, and just having those conversations is like, what's going on with you, how are the people doing in the office, what's anything I could help on, but yeah, it's just having different roles in the business.
Yeah, because at one point we were in the fields together at the same time, and like I kind of had like a revelation. I was like, well, one of us needs to be in the office to kind of make something happen, because if we're both out here, it just
like door knocking, kind of.
No, we were just in the projects, just kind of in a sense kind of wasting time. Not really, but kind of, now that I kind of look back to maybe some of that time that we might have not had to been there for so long, we could have probably been doing something, door knocking, calling, talking to other people and stuff like that, so stuff like that. Yeah, it's like, well, we both can't be out here at the same time, if one person can do it and they don't need a second person, then they can handle that. But obviously, if there's a point where like there's a lot of material where it's just moving around, there's a lot of moving parts, then I would kind of you know, I get the message like, hey, can you do this? Can you go there? So then, okay, cool. You know, step out the office and stuff like that.
No, that makes 100% sense. That way, you know, you get double the work done anyway.
For sure.
Because when sometimes one person wants to get both of those things done and they can't, so since it's two of you, you can get that done easily.
Yeah.
Man, I've been quiet most of this time, but man, I'm just taking in so much info just being a student. Like, it's inspiring learning from, you know, people young like me. They're a little bit older, but
we're the same there.
Same.
Nowadays, I have 2 kids, so one thing I've noticed is that, like, I think 5 years, it's like it's a generational gap. Yeah, from what I've seen, you know, 5 years kind of like you're talking about some certain stuff that I don't even know what you're talking about, you know, like your 5-year generation and stuff like that. Kind of that's what I've seen.
Right. Yeah, definitely.
Changes.
Yeah. With that being said, like knowing like everything that you know now, like what would you tell your younger self? Like what would be the advice to yourself, like to like prevent that, like, or if somebody even younger, like let's say me, was asking you, like, and I almost seem like I'm in your position, like what would you tell them? What would you tell your younger self?
To be honest with you, I mean, I think, you know, things happen for a reason in life. Something that I've kind of learned, you know, in this journey of life. I would never maybe just change my habits just to kind of assimilate a little bit easier into kind of real estate. But everything that I've kind of gone through, I mean, I wouldn't change anything because it made me who I am now. And it kind of got me to this path. Because let's just say I, you know, made it, you know, if I would have just gone and approached the CHP, an officer, I would have been there. I would have been here now. Right. But one thing that I would just change is my habits. Like some of the like bad habits that I have, like that I kind of, it took a while to kind of get rid of. You know, I still carry some of those over now, but some of, like, I would say change some of the habits, you know, that you have. And also being smarter with your money. You know, that, you know, if I would have told myself like, hey, at this point, you're going to make some money here. Don't go ahead and maybe like, we wouldn't splurge on stuff, but like I would like to, you know, just buy like
steak dinner,
stuff like that, you know, buying expensive dinners and stuff like that, going out and stuff like that. But when you don't have nothing coming in consistently, then it can kind of, it could break you, you know, if you
big
you know,
gamble.
Yeah, it could be a big gamble. Right. But other than that, I'll probably be the 2 things I would change, you know, just being more, you know, like money issues and stuff like that, kind of being aware of that and stuff like that, and then just kind of change some of the habits that I have.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Alex?
I would say habits, you know, environment. So environment is key, and having the right people around you. And if you don't have, you know, anyone, it's better to be alone than to have, you know, bad acquaintances. You know, that's a really good question. So for me, it's a yes and a no, but it will be like to stay the course of doing real estate, because I started pretty young, and like I touched bases earlier, like I lost all my money. So I was like, how am I going to get money again? How am I going to make this money back? And I ended up getting into another business, which was cannabis. And, you know, we were in that journey for about, I would say like a good three years, you know, 3-4 years. And just to come back to real estate.
Yeah, about 3-4 years. Yeah,
3-4 years.
Okay.
And you know, we had some bad partners, and you know, cashed out and went back into real estate. But it's to stay the course, even though, you know, at the time, well, you live and you learn. You know, you make mistakes. But then again, like, because you know, we were growing out cannabis in the desert. You know, we ended up having up to like, we had four properties, you know, with a bunch of freaking cannabis at the peak. We had about like 12 to 15 guys just taking care of the plants, trimming them, and then we transitioned to getting a building out here in
Anaheim.
In Anaheim, like a 20,000 square foot building, and we ended up investing with other partners because it was a big deal. We needed about like 350,000, you know, to build out rooms and do all these crazy things. So we went from doing that to getting involved with partners. And, you know, with time, we noticed that they just wanted they weren't putting in the time that we were putting in. We were like really serious about it. We were there every day, again, making mistakes, learning. So there was a certain point where I was like, you know what, I rather lose some money, lose the money, and you know,
Gain the experience. And
yeah,
like a
lose,
lesson.
cash out, yeah, learn the lesson and just keep it pushing. You have to know when, you know, to quit something and
Cut your
and
losses.
cut your losses and then start again. So I've never been scared to do that. So, you know, we sold, you know, we let everything go and we started again and doing our first deal.
Yeah.
So
That's real big with partnerships too, because I've built many partnerships with different people, and it's great when it's great, but when it's bad,
Yeah.
that's when you find out
Yeah, you find out for sure. Yeah.
everybody's true colors. And
Yeah.
I'm the type of person where if we're doing a deal together, if I'm in it with you, we're gonna get out of it together regardless. I'm gonna put in more, whatever,
yeah,
just because I don't want my word or my name to ever be tested or second guessed because of some stupid decision.
Yeah.
And some people, that's when you'll figure out, like, okay,
Yeah.
this is not for me. If they're bouncing and it's not even that bad, and you guys have a partnership to make some payments on some stuff, and they're like,
yeah.
I'm not involved, like, you know, that's you. I think that's the sign of, you know,
Yeah.
Not
It was
everyone
good.
has the same values, you know,
Right.
the same morals.
Definitely.
Like from, you know, and this is grown people, you know, grown
Yeah.
people that at one point I look up to and things like that, and you know, you find out they don't have the same values, the same morals. Like we do business by a certain code. It's like just honestly just handshake and giving your word you're gonna do something. So that's our mindset, and that's where we come from. But not everyone's the same, and we've learned that during, you know, the whole process of entrepreneurship. So now we're very selective who we do business with. If not, we just up until this point, you know, we do business by ourselves. Like it's just us and, you know, our team. And if we're gonna do a partnership or something, obviously, you know, you could tell now we've had enough experience, but you just never know. It's,
You know, I want to ask this, like within our Latino community, like, you know, like kind of we're used to, you know, our older parents or the older generation, they're used to like, they want you to get like a regular job. They want you to be the 9 to 5 person. Like, how did your mom or parents react, like when you told them what you wanted to do? Like you didn't want to, you know, go to the academy, or that you didn't want to get a regular job, like that you wanted to be an entrepreneur. Like most parents, like of the older generation would say like, no,
Yeah.
what are you thinking? Like, what was like your experience with that?
yeah, my mom has been my backbone. You know, she's an entrepreneur herself. You know,
Oh, okay.
she came here from Mexico, and she planted a seed for us, you know, so it's growing it from there. But she's always been supportive of anything I do, you know, even if it's, you know, I don't want to say bad, but anything like I want to do, she doesn't say don't do it, or, you know, just be careful or this or that. But I mean, she planted the seed, and I feel like if it's our responsibility, like for my family, I have to be the one that changes the course for everyone. So that's what motivates me every day to keep pushing and not giving up, because, you know, I'll never give up. Even if I lose it all, it's fine, because all the knowledge and, you know, the hustle, I have it, you know, in my head. So
Yeah, definitely. That's a great thing that you had your mom right there beside you too to support you.
if it wasn't for her, then I wouldn't be where I'm at, like nowhere close. That's the only thing that saved me from, you know, being like you know, being a whole different type of person.
Right.
Yeah.
The support came a long way for sure.
Yeah.
Sergio, was it?
Yeah, I mean it's the same thing. Like I mean, at least for me, like when my parents were always working, so they weren't really around. I mean, I'm pretty sure a lot of us can relate to that. I mean, they're working, we're just kind of doing our thing. But yeah, I've never, at least for my mom, she's never, same thing with Alex's mom. She's never told me no on anything that I kind of wanted to do. I was just doing it, and she'll kind of find out at the end. But at the end, I've never gotten like, oh, you shouldn't be doing this, or you should try something else. Like, you know, it's just mostly like, well, just kind of almost like letting me do my own thing at the end of the day. And I just kind of, well, like having that type of freedom. Well, I mean, you get to do a lot of different things, you know, either being bad things or good things, you know. But yeah, but just like I've never really had no one telling me like, oh, this, you can't do this, you shouldn't do this, you know. But because obviously, like at least for my parents, a little bit more different. You know, they come from like the 9 to 5 and stuff like that. So I mean, they can't really tell me like, oh, you can't do this because it's a bad thing, or, you know, things like that. So I mean, but at the end of the day, I mean, you know, I've never really got no one to kind of, discourage me to doing something at the end of the day.
I like that, how you said about your mom. You got your mentality from her when she brought you guys here, and
I wasn't born here, but she was the first generation here, so that's what, like, it's.
Yeah. Okay. So you got to make sure that you make a good name for the family and come through.
And that's something that we share together, like, that I keep in mind too. Like, well, I mean, we're first generation. We got to make sure that we're the ones that retire them, and, because they worked so hard just to get here to begin with.
Yeah.
And then having to, work and kind of giving us the freedom to kind of, in a sense, do what we want to do, and then to kind of, you're doing a disjustice to them, if you don't you don't have to retire them, but ideally that's what you want to do,
Yeah.
And obviously, making sure that they don't have to worry about anything other than living at that point, once you get to the point where you can do that for them. So, like, obviously that's the goal, at least for me. And then, like, obviously have other women that helped me out in this journey that I would like to retire as well, too. So I have a couple people that got to retire,
Yeah.
That's good, because it always keeps you on your toes, because it's not just about yourselves.
Yeah.
It's about other people. That's how, like, your purpose should be. It's not like me, I want a car, I want this, I want that.
And that's the cool thing about us that we kind of relate to, is like, we don't really look at things for us. It's mostly for, like, others, or morely like our family, like, that's kind of what we enjoy doing, is like hanging out with family. At this point, we never really went out, like, to clubs and stuff like that. We did our little time when we were doing all that stuff, but now everything kind of changes. We actually enjoy going out to vacations, hanging out with family members, doing a cookout and stuff like that. That kind of.
That's when your mentality changes,
for sure,
and you become a man, or a role model, however you look at it. But because partying and stuff, it's not going to lead you into anywhere that's going to be beneficial to you or your family.
The way I think about it is, like, if you're 35, 40 years old and you're still doing that, then, it's just...
at that issues. Point. Yeah. That's maturity.
Yeah, for sure.
Still popping bottles at almost 40 years old?
Yeah. Don't get me wrong, it's fun, stuff like that, but...
You got to celebrate your wins, though,
Yeah.
Celebrate your wins.
But more like taking a vacation.
Yeah.
Like, let's go have a nice dinner.
Like, hang out with your family, your
Not
kids.
Everybody has to get all blacked out drunk and stuff.
Yeah. That's maturing. That's being different, because, like, so many kids, like our age, or people our age, are just... Like, they celebrate with a drink, or celebrate with
Drinks.
like clubs. Like, they don't think like, oh, let's go celebrate with a vacation. Like, everybody, they just have a different mindset, in this generation, I would say.
I think that's what Andrew Frisella said. He said, why would you reward yourself with something negative, which is going out and partying, getting drunk, getting all blacked out? If you're trying to stop that and change your life, how is that going to benefit you?
For sure.
And it's true. Like, that doesn't do anything good for you.
Yeah, I agree. As far as, like, when you started, how many flips have you done? Like, can you put a number on it?
Yeah. I would say close to 30.
Close to 30. Yeah. By what number did you think, like, you had it, like, okay, this is getting a lot easier? Like, did you have that number, or you're kind of still figuring it out?
3. We're still figuring it out, we're still learning, trying to get better. For us, it's been more, since how we started, we kind of, our second deal was like $1 million flip. So from then on, we've been maintaining. It takes a little bit longer to do those type of flips. It's not like, you paint them and, do little touch-ups. And we've always kind of done the turnkey model. But yeah, I mean, it's different variables. Even like now, speaking on now, the present, the whole interest rate hikes and all that stuff, like, we're pivoting now, we're learning pivoting, and this type of market, it requires a different person. You gotta switch it up. The same thing we were doing 2 years ago, and setting records and comparables, we're not doing in this market. We have to pivot. So going back to that question, it's we're always learning. I mean,
well, at least for me, from what I've noticed, I think it was like in year 3, kind of where it's like, okay, we kind of understand what we're doing. It's not like, kind of guessing at this point, because your first year, you're kind of, learning it. The second year is like, well, do I really know what I'm doing?
Yeah.
And stuff like that. And then, like, in the third year, I kind of saw, I was like, well, we kind of know what we're doing. Now, I mean, obviously, if you send us a deal, if we look at it as far as like a fix and flip, then we kind of know we know how to, like, we know what to do with it. If it's adding square footage to it, adding an ADU, new construction, maybe doing other different exits that you can with fixing and flipping.
Right.
So
Gotcha. How did you cope with like failures and like rejections? Like when you failed at those like flips, like did you have like an outrage? Like did you just want to quit? Like, or did you use it as kind of like fuel to keep going?
Yeah, the fuel to keep going. I mean, it sucks when you have a loss, but you just reflect on it, see what you could do better on the next one.
Last year we had like our biggest loss last year. Yeah, that one was good learning experience. Being a little bit depressed and shit. Trying to be like.
No one wants to lose. No one wants to lose. It
especially
sucks,
when you're winning.
Yeah.
And then you get hit with like, I think it was like what, 100 and something.
Yeah, like $140,000 loss.
Yeah. So. So something like that. I mean, I took it two ways. I was like, it sucks because in that deal, we were gonna make a good amount. I was like, I already had stuff planned out. I was like, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna buy vacation. This. I could maybe get like a rental and stuff like that. But instead of making something, we lost money at the end of the day. But yeah, I mean, it's like real estate is an emotional roller coaster. It's gonna throw you through a bunch of shit. It's as long as you can, you have tough skin and you can maintain through all those different emotions and stuff like that, or different failures, and you'll be good in real estate. At the end of the day.
Right.
Yeah. And the most important thing if you're in business is to maintain what you have. So that's my biggest thing, and that's my biggest worry. That's what I carry in my back. Like, okay, we had this loss, but not let this loss slow us down or like make us like you could like, because I've been through it before where you lose everything. I don't know if Robert, you've gone through it, but it's you lose all your money. It's hard to. It's not hard to make it back, but it takes longer. It takes for us. It's taken me some time to hop back on. So my biggest thing is not to lose it because it's
gonna take a lot longer to kind of get back to the baseline.
Baseline. So that's the whole thing. Not to lose it. Maintain the flips, and that's how we've been able to grow. Where we make some money and we don't go spend it. We go and invest it again, and that's.
Yeah. One thing I could admire right off the bat is that you recognize your losses. Like some people only want people to know them for their wins. Like we only win. Like no, you're pointing at like no, like we've lost here. Like and that taught us this. Like some people don't want to talk about those losses. They might get embarrassed, but you're open to talk about it and talk about how you like learn from that. That's big. That's inspiring.
Sure, yeah.
What has been the most challenging period of your life so far, and how did you guys navigate through it?
Challenging part, I would say, is well, at first I would say, like for me at least, I have kids. I have 2 kids, so it's just trying to like I say, manage both things at the same time, business and my kids and stuff like that.
And family.
And family, there's a lot of arguments, a lot of fighting with my significant other because, she wants her time for me. And then I got to spend time with my kids. There was times where at the beginning, I don't do this too much just because I kind of like caught myself doing it, but I might be working, still looking at some deals on my phone that I'm just kind of, underwriting. And I might have my kid just want to play here and there. And I just kind of like, hey, hold on, wait for me. And then there's days where like I never get to it, and then I kind of focus more on the evaluating stuff than to kind of hang out with like my kids, even the little stuff. That was a little bit harder for me to try to, accommodate everything, at once because you only have you don't know how it is to raise kids until you have it.
Yeah.
So that was something that and I had my kid at the beginning when we were starting. So literally like year 1 when we were starting real estate, I had my first kid, my little girl. So I would take her to some of the flips as well too, here and there, and I'll have her come along with us and things like that. But like it's managing the time, being present with your kids, your wife, and then also making sure that you're getting things done at the office. So that's one of the harder things that was kind of hard for me, but now, I'm I do 50-50 now, like try to give them the time that they need. So, I don't work Saturdays anymore.
Okay, that's good.
And also, I go home at a certain time now. Before I will go home like at 9, 8 o'clock. I'm home already by like 7, the latest. So that way, in case I need to help my daughter with her homework or I need to shower them and things like that or cook them food, then I know I do that time. But it was a little difficult to kind of manage those two things, especially, at a young age, and also, no one really teaching you kind of how to raise kids either, because I'm raising my kids completely opposite from how I was raised. So I kind of, little things like some of like the bad habits that I use. There's a lot of things that we carry that we won't find out until you have kids because you're gonna do that to them. So some of those habits, childhood traumas and stuff like that I have, that I kind of took it. I saw that I was like, well, this is not the right thing to do, especially if I'm trying to raise them completely different from how I was raised. Because in my family, there was no love. Like there wasn't like where, my mom would tell me I love you, or your dad would tell you I love you and stuff like that. Hugs and stuff like that, kisses. Like there wasn't, it was non-existent kind of being, in my family. But with my kids, like I tell them I love you. I act a fool with them, even if we're like out and stuff like that. They want to jump on top of me. I don't, let them do their things, stuff like that. So like, that was just one of like the harder things, for me around that time.
Yeah, that's the biggest part with kids is time.
Yeah.
And that's like love. Because if you're not spending time with them, there's
at a certain age, my daughter just like she's going to be 6 in January, so it's true that you do need to spend time with them, but you don't necessarily give them a lot of time because there's going to be a point, because I'm already seeing it, where like they don't want to be around you. They want to maybe do their thing on their own, like not obviously go out and things like that, but like just like maybe play by themselves, or maybe like draw by themselves. They don't want you around them. It's like stuff like that. But a lot of I'm not there yet, so I don't know how she's gonna be with a teen, but pretty sure. When we were teenagers, there was a point where we separated from our mom or our dad, whoever we were closer to. So,
what about you, Alex?
Can you repeat the question?
What has been the most challenging period of your life so far, and how did you navigate through it?
So right now, just to make it pretty simple, I haven't started a family yet. I have a girlfriend of 5 years. My family, I consider it, my mom, my grandma, my brothers, my sisters. So it's hard to juggle everything since I'm more like I'm more focused on work. It's juggling that, but going back to the business, it's hard to juggle. It's hard to juggle what we have going on right now, because sometimes with the whole, like, going back to now, it's been some of the hardest times that we've been through, because some projects take more money than they should. We have to invest money out of pocket. So it's been a little bit more of finances. We have $1 million plus, a little bit over $1 million of cash out, with everything that we have going on. And the way we've been able to overcome some of those challenges is networking, having a brand, people trusting us, the way we conduct ourselves, the way we do business. That's been a big turning point, because I'm not scared to ask for help. If we need help, I'll ask people. And throughout our journey, we've been blessed that we've never done anyone wrong. And as soon as we ask for help, people come out and help us.
That's a good part of doing good business.
Yeah, that hopefully that answers that question. It's
yeah.
All right. How do you define like self-care for yourself? Like aside from vacations and stuff, like what's like your self-care?
Oh, self-care is first of all, your eating habits. You
have good eating habits?
Kind of, yeah. I don't eat junk food,
Yeah.
But I like to eat at home a lot. I love house food. Working out. That's always been. I've done it for a long time, like over a decade. Since I was younger, that's kind of what like brought me my discipline, like working out. I don't hit that much weights, but now we run a lot. We run once a week with a bunch of people. We host a run every Thursdays at 6 p.m. So that's been a big thing for us.
Yeah.
How long have you been working out for? Like how many years?
10 years, I would say.
15 years
15,
for me.
yeah, 15.
15
Okay.
years since I was like 16. That's when I ended up going to that cadet program, and that started everything. That gave me the discipline of not getting into trouble. So
And that gave you the discipline for business, work,
Yeah.
work ethic.
work ethic.
I think a lot of entrepreneurs in general, a lot of them work out,
Yeah.
and that's how they like start their day or finish their day, and those values will help you in business and life. And I think that's a big thing for you, especially from how you started everything.
For sure.
And
Yeah, it does translate pretty good. Like working out and like some things like as far as like for business and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Even when you're down and out, like I feel like, damn, I need to go for a run. I'm
Yeah.
stressed out. I need to go take it out, by doing a run or
Runner's
something like
high.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's like a runner's high, and there's like a working out high too. And
Mhm.
it's kind of like once you're in there, and like when you maybe you do 2 laps, and then you're kind of just running
Yeah.
on air,
Yeah.
and you're kind of
Mhm.
Man, my
or 2 or
cardio
3
was
miles.
bad.
That's part of it. Like you get that excitement, and you're just running. Like you have that high, and you just keep going, and you can go for who
Yeah.
knows how long.
Yeah.
To touch a little bit more on that, like we started a run club like about a year ago, and some of those people that started with us, they're like excelling. Like we have a friend that he's doing marathons now, and he's keeping up with us. In the beginning, he couldn't even finish like 3 miles, I believe, and now like just 3 days ago, he's training for a marathon right now, and he called me. He was like, "Hey, you're down to do 16 miles, like in a 20-minute short notice," and I was in the office like 2 days ago. And I was like, yeah, come pick me up. And we went to go do 16 miles.
Crazy.
I can do 1, maybe
I
2.
might be able to do 4.
Yeah, it starts off with like, you do your first mile,
Yeah.
you do it every day, eventually get to do 3, 4, 5, and then it goes up from there.
Yeah.
Like I've never ran more than 7 miles up until, we started the run, the meetups.
Yeah.
How do you guys define success in life?
Well, for me, it's obviously it changes when you get older, but like at least for me, like it's just raising good kids. At least for me, that's how I feel like I'll feel successful, and then obviously, giving them what I didn't have growing up as a kid, and also teaching them all the right stuff. How to manage your money, business, like things that I never was taught. So. I mean, I think, at least for me, that's my definition. Obviously, having some money obviously helps out. But at the end of the day, I mean, now that I have kids, it's my answer is a little bit different. But, yeah, I think about that a lot when, I don't know, I would say maybe like every other day I think about like, I got to make sure my kids are good or raise them good, because I don't want them. One of my fears is that, when they grow up and they see someone else's like dad or something, they go to like they find out like, oh, my friend's dad does this. How come you don't do this? Stuff like that. That's something that I don't want to hear,
Yeah.
So that's, at least for me, like, that's what I think success is for me, Obviously, having some money, having a good family, and then raising good kids at the end of the day.
You want to be their superhero.
Yeah. You don't want someone else to do that, because that'll hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Alex?
It's pretty simple. Taking care of my family, what my family thinks of me, not giving up. You can't measure yourself from other people. Everyone has their own journey and everyone's different. But it's not giving up on yourself, because life is a journey.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm never going to reach my peak. I'm always going to be trying to go to the next level. And everyone's in their own journey. I don't know where I'm going to end up, but I know damn for sure I'm not going to quit.
What you both mentioned was that as time goes on, your I guess your definition of success goes higher, or you kind of leveling up.
Yeah.
I think that's great as a person, because it shows both of you guys are leveling up as years go on, and it's not like here's the goal, I get there and then I just party or whatever I do. It's always growing, and it's like you're raising the bar, kind of like the gym. You go in, you start working out with lighter weights, and then you work your way up, and then you're always working your way up. Same thing in life. It's yourself. You should be measuring yourself and trying to do more, achieve more for your family, like both of you guys said. And that's number one. I think that's success to me too. Helping my family, giving them opportunities.
You don't have any kids, right?
No kids, but I got 3 dogs that are like kids.
Do you plan to, or
what happened?
Do you plan to, or just something that?
If it happens, I'm not like pressuring that. Like we have a lot of things going on with business and everything else, and then we do both take care of our parents. Okay. So that's another thing. They're getting older.
Pull-out game is strong then, huh?
Crazy guy.
Yeah. I was thinking it was one of those things I was thinking of, but I didn't want to say it.
So like I take care of my mom, and
but that's how I would. I had them young, but like now that I look at it,
perfect
kids,
time.
Yeah, but then again, when people say like they don't see, they're busy, they're this, they're that, like there's always gonna be something happening, you know. And then, like what kids can do to you is like they can maybe kind of like slow you down where you really need to slow down, and then obviously it also can accelerate on the things that you need to accelerate on.
Right.
You know, so like they're not that expensive, to be honest. Like kids are not really expensive.
What are the numbers? I know. I know he has the numbers.
You know? So I raised them, and from 1 to 4, 1 to 3. They don't require too much toys, food, clothes. That's about it. You know.
I'm not saying like I don't want it to happen, but I'm not gonna be like this better happen.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like a timeline or nothing. If it does, it does. If not, then maybe it wasn't meant to be. Maybe we'll just adopt later.
How about you? Do you want to have kids though? Like,
I thought about it, but it's not like a 100% thing that has to happen.
Yeah.
Having kids kind of scares me. Like I know a lot of people like my age like get scared when they're gonna be like become a dad. Like, how did you feel becoming a dad? And like, do you think it like matured you? Well, I'm sure it did, but like, how did you feel?
The little thing about when I had my daughter, my first kid, it didn't really hit me until the year after, because at the beginning we were moving, we were trying to make something for ourselves, and like that was my goal. And then the kid came out of nowhere, like, well, we're gonna have a kid, you know.
Yeah.
You know, so I let that decision to my wife, you know, like, cause we talked about it, like, do we want to have a kid right now and stuff like that. And I was like, well, I really can't make that decision. If you decide to keep it, I'm going to be there for it. And if you don't, then that's completely your decision. And, you know, thankfully we kept it. You know, we kept the course of having our daughter. Yeah. But as far as it changed me in the sense that you have to be a little bit more responsible. I would say it made me from a little kid to a man. You know, I started thinking about things that, like, what the hell? Why am I thinking about this? And I didn't think about it before. You know, priorities kind of came into play. Now I have to make sure to have, you know, emergency money in case something happens. You know, before I wasn't thinking about that. I would just invest everything, just roll the dice on it, and like
that's a gambler's mentality.
Yeah, so I was like, let's risk it all, you know.
Yeah.
But now, you know, that they're 5 and my son is 3, I was like, well, yeah, I gotta make sure that there's money, you know, left over, you know, so stuff like that. But yeah, it matures you as a person for sure. And if it doesn't, well, you know, that's like there's a lot of work that you kind of need to do on your own, because at the beginning, like I said, it didn't happen on the first year. It happened the year after, once like the first deal was done, and kind of had like a picture of like, okay, so this is kind of how it plays out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alex, do you want kids?
Oh yeah, I definitely do. Yeah. I want kids. I think.
Well, he gets to see a little bit of how I kind of like with my kids. So
yeah,
sometimes I bring them around and just to see what it's like and how to interact with them too, because that was something that I had to learn too, how to interact with kids, because you know, not having kids around, you have to kind of act a certain different way.
Yeah,
you have to be more like
nice.
Exactly. Yeah, a little bit more nicer, a little bit more loving and stuff like that. You know.
Yeah. No, I love kids. I have a little sister. She's a year old, so that's almost like
so it's
my
like
kid.
Yeah. So in a sense, you get to see what it's like.
My dad looks like the grandpa. If anything, my dad's 50, over 50.
Okay.
That's how I met Aaron. I met his dad at the gym.
Okay.
That's why we laughed at the beginning, because we were like, man, like the gym connections.
Yeah. It's not the only story that I've heard too that people connected. It kind of, you know, it's part of like the journey when people. Well, I mean, we're guys, so a lot of times we spend at the gym. You know, so. You know, then that's kind of how you meet a lot of people.
Definitely. And we're creeping up on an hour and 10 minutes already. That flew by.
Yeah,
That felt fast.
Yeah.
What questions didn't we ask you that you guys want us or would want to answer?
Anything?
Well, I mean,
There's
really,
a lot
I
of
mean,
layers to the onion. You know?
yeah,
It's-
yeah. So I mean,
we probably talked about maybe 10% of
yeah.
you know, but
Well,
Sergio?
one question or two questions did you really want to answer?
I would say maybe like if you were like I would say maybe like something along the lines where like if someone that comes from our background, how can they get into this business? I would say just to kind of like they have an idea, like someone that from us we grow up on that side of town,
Yeah.
how they can actually get into real estate. A lot of the times we get asked a lot like, oh, how did you get in? Where should I go? Should I fix and flip? Should I wholesale? Should I big this big company and stuff like that? And sometimes I tell them like, what I'm doing necessarily might not work for you. Let's just say maybe you just want to enjoy your time, not make a business. You can go ahead and start acquiring one rental per year or two rentals per year, and then start making some cash flow like that and live off of that, and you could be completely happy. Or you can go a route that we're doing, where you're trying to create like an actual business. Where you have people, you have overhead, and things like that. So it varies, depending on kind of what your goals are as far as like what you kind of see yourself doing, But that might have been a question that something along those lines, how to get into it, because that's one of the main questions we get asked that is like, how did you get in? How can I start? Or how can I, get myself into real estate?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great great question or great answer. That'll be one thing. Anyone could get into this business. We're not the smartest. We're not the brightest. We just have good work ethic, discipline.
Just have ambition too. At the end of the day,
Yeah, it's motivating. It's motivating because we're first generation Hispanics, and even my guys tell me like, hey man, like I'm proud of you, have you as my boss. Like, oh, they present me to the family like look, this is my boss, things like that, because here their bosses are like, say, well, the people doing real estate, they're like
mostly Caucasian
or
I guess some Armenians out there, Asians.
Yeah.
And then I mean, obviously our people, you don't see that
there's
many.
not a lot of people, yeah.
But like, I actually honestly had a conversation with somebody on Instagram yesterday that they posted something about how we don't own that much about anything in real estate, and then somebody posted that, because he's very he's a very he's like a political activist, and he was talking about that, and I kind of told him like, to be honest, it's just a lack of information at the end of the day, being in business now, kind of compared to where I'm at now to where I was once, before, like, or being in high school. It's just it's the lack of information, because at the end of the day, the people that are already doing it, it's gonna keep trickling down because their parents know that information, and they're just gonna keep teaching them. Pretty much, it was mostly like what they were talking about is like it had to do with the race, like Latino Hispanic community. We don't, they don't have nothing kind of going on as far as for this space. Most of it is from other races that have been doing it for a little bit longer than us, and then like and that's kind of my response was to his post, was that most of it has to do with the lack of information, because if you think about it, we're known for being hard workers. So imagine giving them this information and applying the hard work part. Who knows where our people can elevate to. But it's like I said, it has to do with the information at the end of the day.
Yeah, definitely. Here's a question actually I have. Like, I know a lot of people my age that want to get into real estate and into like flipping. Like, what's something you would tell, maybe even like for me, like, what's something you would tell me, like, if I want to get into flipping? Like, what's your best advice that you could give someone young like me?
You're doing the right things right now by, having mentors, having people that have done it. Everyone's different. I would say build up your credit. You have to have that leap of faith. You have to have faith in, that it's going to work out no matter what. Even if you fail, it's going to work out. The way we started is not just the way we started is like we went all in on ourselves. Like we, got some money together and we invested. So the best way
I would say if it goes like it has two responses to it because let's just say you have money, then it's a little bit easier for you to transition because you have the funds already. But if you don't have the funds for it, then with mostly a lot of people, come from that side where they don't have any money to kind of invest it. Because fixing and flipping, you require some money. If someone tells you like, oh, zero down, zero, no this and that,
No,
it's
Not your first time flip.
I usually laugh when people say that, but because you do need capital if you're gonna fix and flip. But there's other ways to get into real estate where you might necessarily need not that much capital, just to kind of give a sense of what you kind of need for fixing and flipping. Let's just say you're going on the hard money route, then you're gonna need 10% for whatever the purchase price is. That's for someone that's already experienced, that's already has some deals under their belts. But if you're kind of just getting started on your first deal, it's usually like around what 15 20%.
Yeah. Another way is to partner up with someone that's already doing it like us. We partner with people. If they bring us a deal or they bring some other capital, we'll partner up with them. Obviously, they have to be the right fit, but we've done already two with other people that we partner up with. Go to networking events. That's a big one. The way Sergio got in is like, we were talking about it, like how he said it, that he brought value, and I saw that value too. And, not asking for anything in return other than like, hey, let's see where this goes. But networking, following up with those people, get around the circles, because that's a guaranteed way that it's either you're gonna, sell real estate, wholesale real estate, or buy something with someone else.
Yeah, meetups are it's very important.
That's guaranteed. You're gonna do a deal. Like, it might not be your first year, but your second year, guaranteed. Networking and with the like-minded individuals and who's doing those things. Like how we got started, we didn't know anyone. We didn't know anyone for the first couple of years, and I was all like, man, where are these people? Where's the people that are doing flips or like developments? But then we started networking. We started meeting other people. Like, oh, he's going through the same thing that we're going through. Okay, cool. And things like that. So.
Definitely working with someone that's experienced is the best way to start. But check their background and run their name.
Yeah, for sure. Because there's a lot of people that say they're doing things, but one thing that I've kind of I've seen and witnessed is like, because we get asked sometimes like, hey, how come we don't teach what you guys know? You guys been doing it for a while, this and that. Well, I mean, teaching really isn't, part of our game plan right now. Eventually, if it happens, it'll happen. But you'll have some people that are just kind of like, I call it just regurgitating information,
Yeah.
Because I can go ahead and just kind of tell you kind of what you kind of already know. A lot of us, we already know kind of what to do. And then like most of the information you can honestly find on YouTube. Like there's a lot now. Yeah. When we first started, it wasn't that much, in 2018, not that really. But now there's like, you could get bombarded with information to the point where like it's hard to kind of take action. Yes, too much
information.
Yeah. But there's information out there on YouTube that if you know how to, properly take it in and put action into it, then you can make it happen. And, and also too, vetting them out, like he was saying, like is making sure that you vet out the guy that you're going to be working with or the lady that you're going to be working with, asking them the right information, asking them to take you to their actual flips or their projects, because some people can sell themselves off of Instagram, talking that they're doing this and that, but if you're not really vetting them out outside of what you see on Instagram, then you can kind of get yourself into a situation where it might not work out.
Gotcha. Yeah. Don't look at the money. Like say you want to invest on a property to sell it. Don't look at the money. Look at like the process. Like okay, what am I gonna learn? And just start with one. Yeah. Get one out, and then do another one and another one, and then.
Yeah, like you're saying, don't look at the money. Don't look like, oh yeah, if I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna make.
Don't look at this guy's doing 10 and I'm. Yeah, don't do that because that's.
Got it. Mark my words. Our first flip, 2024. Our first flip together.
Well, it's already written
in stone.
There's one we're working on, so.
Yep.
So we got to hear back.
Yeah, we're working on one. Hopefully.
Nice.
Yeah, that's where it changes. Once you do your first one, you kind of it does shift like the way you think, the way you like. It was this, it wasn't that hard at the end of the day,
Yeah.
Just kind of repeating the same thing over and over. From there.
Awesome. Got anything?
So yeah, with building capital, yeah, either work with someone that has it to hold up their end and get the property, or either build it. What I did is actually I was closing a good amount of deals per year, and then I started saving a bunch of them, and then kind of designating that to buy a property. And then I did partner with a really well known investor that I know personally from a personal friend, and that was my first flip. It was all in his name, but I was a partner. We signed an agreement.
Yeah.
I looked up his whole profile of what he's done. He was actually credible, and that was the first one I ever did. And at that point, I seen the profit, and then I made a little. I didn't make really as much as I should have made.
Well, you learned a lot, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. I was able to walk through the property, visit it whenever I wanted to, look at what he did. And he did, it was an Echo Park. He kept the same cabinets, opened the kitchen, put wood flooring, did the bathroom, kept the same tubs, like kind of very basic. And it sold for like 1.3 million.
Wow. How long ago was this?
I think it was 1.275. This was back about, I think it was 9 or 10 years ago.
Oh, shit.
And then I lifted up because I would always keep that address. I knew because it was the first property ever. They ended up selling it for 1.7. It had a view of LA. It was a badass house.
We do the same thing with the first project that we do. Sometimes we look at it, it's like, oh, now we went up this.
And then you see, like,
they should have kept it.
Well, I had told Janet, "Lady, let's just live in it for 2 years," and I was like, it's gonna hit the high like 1.5 or so. She's like, I don't know, I don't really want to live over there, and it's kind of a mission from here. So we were like, okay, just get rid of it, just make a little money, and move on. Nice. But then that gave us a chance to buy our house,
for sure.
where we're at. So, you can't make $1 million on every deal, or sometimes you pass it on to somebody else, they make it. That's just the process of life and helping each other, building partnerships. You both made money. You handed the property on to somebody else. That was their home for their family, and then they upgraded to probably something else.
For sure,
or maybe another state.
The whole game plan is to keep property.
Yeah.
But along the way, you also have to sell to make money to support your business.
Right.
It's not from the beginning like, oh, I'm gonna try to keep everything, because you need capital to keep moving forward, for marketing,
especially to scale fixing and flipping. It's a lot of money. You need capital. You need to be raising money all the time. Because there's going to be a point where, like, you plateau with your own personal funds, where if you want to go do 100 deals for that year, you have to figure out where you're going to get that money from.
Yeah.
You know what? There's one more thing I want to ask. Like, how do you pay yourselves? Like, do you just do you pay yourselves like from your flips? Is there a certain amount that you guys take like individually?
Well, I only take a small amount to where like I can pay off my bills. I know like I stretch it out for like a year, and I have an idea. I was like, okay, this is kind of, if I keep the same things that I have now, then I could keep it and then put everything back into the business, so that way because you need to have money in there.
Yeah, of course,
to sustain it.
Yeah, so, I do that as well. Pretty much, I don't have big expenses other than our real estate portfolio. All the money goes back into real estate, because I don't have any fancy car. I drive a Prius. Everything goes back into real estate. Everything. We have a bunch of properties that we have to pay mortgage on. Right now it's like maybe like $60,000 a month, plus everything else, the overhead, like it's crazy amounts.
Systems that we use. So I wouldn't be surprised if it goes like closer towards like the 100.
So we can't be like, we have to have everything calculated and
What's one thing you guys weren't able to share that you want to share?
No, I mean, I don't have anything in mind.
We all have a story. I mean,
that's what
we didn't share a big part of our story, but we all have a story. We just want to meet good people, do good business, and bring a lot of people along the way with us. To the mountain, to the peak.
Yeah, that's life. That's purpose. I think you guys told a story about someone reassuring you, like your workers, like, hey, I work with this guy. Yeah. I think that probably touched you, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, in the beginning too, I felt like in my mind I was like, oh, I'm too young. Like I have a baby face. people are gonna think a certain way of me, but with the years and the repetition of doing business, the years go by, and that's a very limited belief that no one should think they're too young to get started.
Yeah, even myself, I found it a little kind of took a little while to get used to someone calling you boss. This took a while.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you guys again for coming on here. Alexander, his Instagram will be attached to this video, and also Sergio. Definitely, they have a lot of knowledge in the real estate game, flipping, developing, pretty much anything you can think of with the house. And these are people, friends that, I want to surround myself to help everybody else in our circle and outside of the circle to know and influence, like, there's a way you can get there. Yeah. And if you guys fought through it and made it happen and you're doing great to this day, just like me, I've fought through things. We're all here together doing this for a reason. And the reason is to influence everybody out there. And, thank you guys. I really appreciate it for being on today. And I'm sure you guys will be back so we can tell some more of the rest of the story.
Yeah. Thank you, Robert, for inviting us.
We appreciate you also for having us here too.
Yeah, your guys' links will be on the video. Thank you guys for tuning in to No Role Models this episode with these two young gentlemen and entrepreneurs, flippers, wholesalers, developers. Thank you guys. And Aaron?
Nope, thank you guys. I learned so much, like, just from hearing you guys. It's like I said again, like, even the first 30 minutes where I wasn't speaking, like, I was just taking in all that information. It's all new information to me, and like information and advice I'm going to use from when I start my journey with flipping. So yeah, and I thank you guys for all that info.
For sure. Yeah, and there's more too. There's like, it's like one thing that I kind of just before we do cut it off, but yeah, some stuff that I would like to share, because I take care of mostly all like the boring stuff, like the systems, the hiring, the firing, how to bring people in, how to vet them out, what the systems to use and stuff like that. Then there's information like that too that I kind of have as well too, in case some people are interested.
We're not that far away. Our office is located here in downtown LA. Like I said before, we do runs every Thursdays at 6 p.m. rain or shine. And
most of them are like-minded individuals like us.
Like-minded individuals, wholesalers, brokers, agents, all types of people. Okay. And if anyone wants to reach out to us, you can reach out to us through Cali Home Buyers LLC or both of our Instagrams. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you guys.
Thank you guys. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you.